This week brings the end of Deadpool as we know him, but replaces him with a bunch of brand new books. What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is Preview Picks, the show where I go over the comic books coming out on Wednesday, give you an idea what they're all about, and whether there's something you should talk to your comic book shop about. Make sure you subscribe to get one of these every single Monday. The first thing that I want to talk about is The Immortal Men #2 from James Tynion, and artist replacing Jim Lee. So I know that there's a lot of stuff going on. This is one of the most delayed comic books, and it's got the most promising and kind of like interesting backstory. There's a lot of legacy and history that they can build on, but I just can't help but not necessarily be interested because it didn't necessarily land with me in the first issue. However, I am going to give issue #2 a try. Heading over to Marvel, we get New Mutants Dead Souls #3, which continues the story from Matthew Rosenberg that is talking about Illyana, as well as a bunch of other people like, Wolfsbane, you've got Strong Guy, you got Boom Boom. There's a few different New Mutants that are in here, and they're all tackling paranormal kind of entities or things that are going on. Last time they fought a frost giant, and now it looks like they're on a plane in first class or something like that. I don't really know what's going on, but New Mutants is going to be your dose of kind of like that youthful, paranormal kind of mutant adventure. Heading back over to DC's New Age of Heroes, we have Sideways #4, which continues a story of, well, a really interesting kind of character. So while there's a lot of parallels drawn to Marvel's Spider-Man, this is going to be something that's a little bit different. I like the idea of a character grappling with his powers and learning to find how to be responsible with them, and he's probably one of the most intrinsically tied to the aftermath of DC's Dark Knight's Metal, just because that's the source of his powers. But we haven't necessarily seen a lot of really heavy storytelling that really lands around Sideways, but I still hold out a little bit of promise. He is probably one of the most exciting people to come out of DC New Age of Heroes. Also, when we're talking about new series, let's talk about The Exiles #3, and in this issue, as they're kind of going through the multiverse, they've picked up the rest of their teammates with Tessa Thompson-inspired Valkyrie, as well as Wolvie from some sort of child cartoon. Now we get to dive into the world of video games with what looks to be a Peggy Carter version of Captain America. So I'm all in for that kind of storyline, so I'm really excited to see where this one goes, because Exiles has been a really fun and entertaining book. If you haven't been reading it, you should probably check it out. But then back at DC, we actually get new storylines, and Wonder Woman #46, with James Robinson still on the title, is dealing with the Dark God. So we get a lot of overflow and aftermath for DC's Dark Knight's Metal, hitting in Wonder Woman dealing with this brand new pantheon of people from the Dark Multiverse. So I'm interested, I'm intrigued. It's the most exciting thing that's been happening in Wonder Woman for me in quite some time. So I'm going to take a look at it and see if it's something that I need to talk about. Then over in independent titles, let's talk about Barrier #1, the Collector's Edition, as well as Barrier #2. So Barrier #1, I believe, was actually released its full 50 pages on Free Comic Book Day, but don't quote me on that one because I didn't end up at a comic book store. I had to work, which sucked. But Barrier #2 is coming out, which is going to continue the story, and it looks like this is a relatively interesting take on the format. I really appreciated AD After Death that was from Snyder and Jeff Lemire because it kind of stretched the medium, and I think that this is going to be another one from Brian K. Vaughan. So I'm excited to go check that out and see if I can grab a copy of issue #1 as well as issue #2 to see what everything's really about. Also getting in #2 is Domino #2 from Gail Simone, and I really loved this first issue. The way that she writes these characters and the way that she's portraying Domino is a really interesting concept. I like her as this kind of standalone entity, and I think Gail Simone's got a really good understanding of how to balance the kind of drama and intensity of Domino's background, as well as her current kind of compadres, the people that make up her posse. So I'm excited to see where this one goes, especially since Domino was thrown out of a window at the end of last issue. So we could see some pretty interesting things now that Domino's luck powers don't seem to be working. And now we're so close to the moment that a lot of Flash fans have been waiting for, with Flash Wars on the horizon and the prelude happening in Flash #46. So this is going to be a really jumping on point for me. I know that there's a lot of stuff that's happened. The Perfect Storm was a storyline, and then we just had this kind of recent reveal of Wally West to Iris West in the last issue, but there's a lot going on, and Flash Wars was what got my interest to begin with. So I'm excited to see where Joshua Williamson can go with this storyline. It's a story that he's been waiting to tell for quite some time. So I'm on board for this one, and I can't wait to see what goes down inside Flash 46. But like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we are going to see the end of Deadpool as we know him, as Jerry Dugan is going to be ending his run on Deadpool with Despicable Deadpool #300. So far, Wade Wilson has been trying to get anybody that could possibly kill him inside the Marvel Universe to do so, and he's finally come to this situation where we are at the conclusion of his run. And from the previews and people that have gotten early advanced issues, they're like, oh my god, I was crying so much at Deadpool, which is not something that I would normally understand when it comes to this storyline, but if Jerry Dugan does his job, then I might be weeping for tears of joy or tears of sadness. It's never really been my character, but I'm on board to see how he gets sent off from the Marvel Universe before we get picked up in Scotty Young's story, which is going to be starting like next month or so. However, a story I am really excited for in the penultimate issue in James Tynion's run is going to be Detective Comics 980, which is going to be dealing with Batman Eternal again. So this is the schism, the break between the Bat family, where you've got Bruce on one side and you've got Kate Kane on the other, and all these different teams are kind of combative, and then you've got Ulysses becoming the general, creating all kinds of chaos and madness around here. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and we've got to come to a conclusion in this issue as well as next issue, and then we're kind of done with this entire storyline. So I'm excited to see where Detective goes, and if you haven't been seeing this kind of change for the variant covers that are over there, the variant covers look phenomenal now. So DC decided to take like almost all the branding off of them and just leave very simple kind of line items for the writer, the artist, and then the little DC logo in the top, and it's just a great showcase for this variant artwork, which has oftentimes been better than the main stuff. So I'm excited to see where these go and what kind of showcases they can put on for other creators. Another independent book to look out for is Oblivion Song number 3 from Robert Kirkman, and this one is dealing with some sort of kind of bubble universe where people have escaped from, but there are still people trapped in there, and he's dealing with some family issues, so there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with Oblivion Song. I can't necessarily say whether it's going to be a favorite of mine. I'm a little bit more partial to Gideon Falls myself from Jeff Lemire, but it's a book that I'm going to be sticking with because Kirkman can tell a story, and we've seen that over and over again. While Oblivion Song is ramping up, Batman White Knight is winding down, so we have issue number 8, which is the final part of this miniseries that has been written and illustrated by Sean Gordon Murphy, and has been a refreshing take on the Dark Knight. So this has been a combination of Joker's story, it's been a Batman story, it's been a Harley Quinn story, it's been a Neo-Joker story. There's all kinds of different things that require Batman and the Joker, or Jack Napier's Joker, to team up and take on the Neo-Joker. So this is going to be the final conclusion to that storyline, and of course, you've got to check out that variant cover, man. Like, the variant covers have been phenomenal, and there's only one. You've got the main title, and then you've got the variant cover, and I've been getting both of them because I am just that kind of madman. But I recommend you guys doing the same. As we get down to my last 3 comics of the week, what we're going to have to talk about is Hunt for Wolverine, the Adamantium Agenda number 1, written by Tom Taylor. And this is going to be your kind of big Marvel movie spectacle kind of series that is going to be dealing with Wolverine's time on the Avengers and the hunt by his Avengers compadres to find Wolverine. So we start off with a little bit of a preview that has already been released, and then there's going to be a bunch of different stuff, but really it shows the kind of situation that Wolverine was in when he was with the Avengers. And what this boils down to is really just what kind of action-packed pacing can Tom Taylor put us through until we find Logan on his own out in the world, and what's really going to ensue at that point in time. So I'm excited to see where this one goes because it feels like it's going to be the most quickly paced, the most action-packed, and the one that's most similar to the comic books that we already know and love Wolverine from. But I don't necessarily know if it's for you guys. You should take a look at the review that I did for Weapon Lost, which is a very different kind of detective story, if you kind of want to figure out exactly what these miniseries are going to be doing for you. And then, fresh off the adventures in DC's Dark Knight's Metal, we get DC No Justice, which was teased in Batman Lost and now is a real thing. So this is James Tynion, Joshua Williamson, and of course Scott Snyder putting their branding on Justice League and creating the situation why they're going to need Justice League Odyssey, Justice League Dark, and then of course the main Justice League that are going to be operating out of the Hall of Justice. Justice all over! So there's so much justice going on in this one, and there's 4 different teams. We've got Wisdom, we've got Wonder, we've got Mystery, we've got Entropy, we've got all kinds of different teams that are going to be dealing with a lot of different stuff in this, and it becomes a must-read title for anybody that's going to be reading Justice League in the future, whether it's Odyssey, Dark, or the main story. There's a lot of stuff that's really going to tie into this one, so you can't really get by without it. Has to be recommended by me, and it's going to have to be read by you. And then to finish things off, we get one of my favorite villains, anti-heroes, lethal protectors. That is Venom number 1, written by Donny Cates, who is one of the hottest writers in Marvel's stable, and Ryan Stegman, one of my favorite artists when it comes to Spider-styled books. So there's been teases of Miles Morales, there's Peter Parker, there's all kinds of different stuff that's going to be going on inside Venom, and from what I've been told, it's going to be a very deep departure from everything else that we've really known about the character. I'm not necessarily sure if that's so true, because he's pretty much gone everywhere. He's been in space, he's done all kinds of stuff, so it might not necessarily be the most refreshing thing, but I am excited to see what kind of mark Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman put on this character. I'm excited to see where it goes, and I hope you guys are excited as well. But I want to know what you guys think about other books, and I want to know what you guys are going to be picking up on Wednesday, so hit me up in the comments down below, and we can start that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.